I'll keep it real, I love shonen fights. The big explosions, clashes between two powerful characters, the top tier animation. So when I saw this cutscene, I went full anime nerd. Just squealing and clapping and overall having a ridiculously loud reaction that makes me pity anyone in a 5 mile radius. And from a visual standpoint, this is my new favorite cutscene. I love this stuff. Fight scenes are fun to watch and read, and I consider myself pretty good at writing them. And then I thought deeper, and had to ask, is it really that good? From an animation/visual standpoint, absolutely. This is sheer eye candy. But from a writing standpoint, cracks began to appear. So is this cutscene really that good, or is it just eye candy? Let's see. Spoilers for Natland Act 1 and 2, and this video was made as a 5.0, so future information could change my opinion. Before we enter, remember to like and sub. I make a ton of videos like this one analyzing Genshin's story. If you never want to miss an upload, turn on your notifications. And if you want to discuss the story in more detail, join my Discord. We have an amazing analysis community there open for discussion, and one such discussion helped make this video. Anyway, let's get into it. First, let's determine what makes a good fight scene in a story. I will be talking about visuals here because obviously the visuals are good, and I have no qualifications in animation stuff. If any animators want to put their takes in the comments, though, I'm down to hear it. Anyway, the core thing that makes a fight scene good is weight. You need to ask, what purpose did the fight serve? Why did it happen? In a fight like Mauvika and Capitano, it does a good job of establishing their power levels as equals. Which is where I'll get into my praise for this fight. It shows their strength. Until this quest, we've never seen an Archon go all out in a fight. Raiden attacked us a few times, but that wasn't her full strength. And Nouvelette's big moment doesn't count because 1, he's a sovereign, and 2, that wasn't a fight. Doing it between Mauvika and Capitano sets a precedent for their strength. They go all out and we see their power. And I'll be honest, besides the visuals, that's all the praise I have. So, why did it happen? Fights like this only serve to establish a threat. Here, that's the Fatui. In this, they don't seem very threatening. It feels like Capitano just went in because he felt like it. If this is debunked or explained in the future, though, then this is a nitpick. But my real point here is how evenly matched they were. Well, it shows off Mauvika's strength and undermines Capitano's. For both Tori and Arlecchino, 2 high-ranked harbingers, we're given clear showcases of how powerful they are, and it's set up in a way that makes them feel threatening. For Capitano, in his big moment, he loses. And yes, he lost. It was very even, both him and Mauvika being exhausted, but he ran away in the end. A retreat is a loss. What threat to the Fatui pose if their most powerful soldier was just defeated? But this fight undermines the Fatui's strength. Makes it seem like Capitano blew his cover for nothing and had no plan if he lost, which makes the Fatui seem either incompetent or undermines the threat they pose. So, what purpose did this fight serve in the story? We already established that it was probably to show that Capitano was in Natlan, but I want to ask why it was here in the story progression. Fights like this most often serve as climaxes, but also have a place to establish power. Think of a fight where the victor was clear. You can still learn about them by their fighting style. Are they ruthless and explosive, calm and precise? Why are they fighting down like this, for a noble reason or just for fun? Like I said, I think this did a good job of showing Mauvika and Capitano's power. But besides that, I don't know what else it does. Showing off the Fatui's presence, like I said, makes them feel incompetent. But there's an argument to be made about how we should know Mauvika's power, and I agree. Especially hearing that she's a human Archon like Farina. Since we're coming right from Fontaine, we don't want another case of Archon in name only. But the problem is, they do show her power when she breaks us out of the abyss. If you want to argue that as the Archon of War we should see her combat prowess, I also agree, but not here. Probably in later acts as it's built up. Another argument I can see is introducing the Masters of the Nightwind as a plotline, but this could easily be elsewhere in another Fatui showcase. It's time I talk about the worst part of this fight, the pacing. That feels like the wrong term, more like where in the story it is, but still. You'll see this in a lot of content creator reactions, as well as probably yourself, but when the cutscene began, a lot of people's reaction was just, oh, now? Well, okay. It just felt wrong. First of all, we have our main plot point set up, rescuing Kachina from the abyss. That would have perfectly sufficed and was a well-done story. This part comes out of nowhere, at the beginning of Act 2, right before we go and work. There was almost no indication of their arrival beforehand. I, like probably most of you, thought that their fight would be an act closer. With Kachina saved and the main conflict set up, the Fatui come in and set more stakes. It would have been better if it wasn't Capitano and Mauvika, but just some Fatui soldiers to show their presence. We know Capitano was in Natlan due to Nouvelette, but as the first Harbinger we can expect some tact. Maybe this will be explained in future acts, I hope it is. But as a 5.0, it's out of nowhere from a story and logic perspective. This feels like it would have been better in Act 3, similar to the Dotori cutscene, as well as Arlecchino's introduction. Speaking of their introductions, I want to look at why those ones worked so well, and this one felt so flat. So, Arlecchino and Dotori. Scaramouche can be included in here too, but his entrance is less of an entrance than the other two. Both were heavily foreshadowed in Acts 1 and 2, and their initial appearances have sufficient build-up. In Dotori's case, he has a lot of shock value as well. He's characterized immediately by creating a mind control experiment. Dotori degenerates, I ask you to keep your dark thoughts out of my comments, please, and thank you. Similarly, Arlecchino gets characterized by having her first appearance be a cordial tea party. I saw some people be annoyed that her introduction wasn't in a cutscene, but I like what we got. It's subtle, like she is, especially in her diplomacy. In each, we get a sense of the threat they pose. For Dotori, it's the mind control and him finding Hida. For Arlecchino, it's the fact that she made the Hydro Archon and Dragon nervous to meet with her. And when I call Farina the Hydro Archon, at the time we thought she was, so it still has the impact. We get the sense that both of them have larger ideas at play to impact us later. Beautifully done introductions. So what of Capitano? Capitano is barely foreshadowed. Like I said, we know he's a Natlan, but that's all we know. We don't get hints beforehand that Fatui have something to do with Natlan's plot or when they'll arrive. Maybe some Fatui attempting to compete in the pilgrimage could work to show they have some kind of plan. They could be turned away at the gate, just like we were. Well, what characterization do we get from him? Not much, if any. Perhaps he just wanted to come straight in to be honorable, but that's just perhaps. In both other introductions, we could say something for certain about a character. We knew for certain that Dotori was crazy, that Arlecchino was calculated. For Capitano, that he is strong, which is obvious considering his rank as a harbinger. And for both Arlecchino and Dotori, we get a sense of their plans. For Capitano, kinda. He says something about new rules for Natlan and the ley lines.
The secret of the ley lines is no secret to me. Long have they been destined for ruin. And since the oath made 5 centuries ago remains unfulfilled, what use is the Gnosis in your hands?
So it's clear he knows quite a bit about Mauvika and the history of the Pyro Archons. But Mauvika never questions how we knew this, so attention is never drawn to it. Not to mention, this detail is immediately forgotten in the following banger few minutes of their fight. So yeah, this cutscene was disappointing. Again, I'll say, the fight itself was amazing. The animation and hype were top tier. My new favorite cutscene in terms of visuals. But that's in a vacuum. In the overall story, it comes across as out of place. Maybe, hopefully, context will change things in the future updates. After all, it's only 5.0, and the rest of the quest was really good. I'm super excited for Natlan's story going forward, so this is probably just a small thing we'll move past. But that's what I think, so what about you guys? Do you think it was good or bad? If there are any animators, I'd love to hear your takes on it from that lens. If you liked this and want more content, make sure to subscribe so I know you enjoyed. Alright, enough from me. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are, and hope to see you in the next one.